Okay. Okay, we're recording now.
Yes, we are. We're in there. We're
Okay,
in there.
wonderful.
Thank you, Kez. So,
Wonderful.
um,
So Wayne, do you want to do one by one? You can check in with your clients and then I can have a turn and then Brad can also have a turn with these.
oh yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, cool. Let's see. First phase of mine is Mateus.
So when we look at all of this cool stuff about like how everyone's coming together and supporting each other, it also reminds me on a lot of other things when it comes to what we also need to focus on, okay, in terms of you guys with your coach. Now, what I want to cover today, our first little topic is about mindset. And so, what we basically want you ladies to go and do some homework, okay? So, we want you to put in your calendar for Monday morning. We don't care when you do it. Send us on Monday morning the following stuff we're going to go through. Okay, so whenever Monday morning you can do that, um, we want to almost like implant that into your week so that it does two things. It forces us to think about certain things as well as get us to help you in a very specific way for the week ahead, and it gets your mindset right for the week ahead. So the first thing, talking about mindset, is building your fitness or your health identity. We want you ladies to send us 5 things you currently or something you want to identify with as a very part of you when it comes to your health and your fitness. So again, 5 things. I'm going to pop it in the chat as well. But 5 things that you want to or currently identify with as being a part of your identity or something you want to have as a part of your identity. And so the reason we want to do this is because when we have a very clear sense of what our identity is around our health, decisions become so much easier to make. Whether it's a difficult decision or an easy decision, you know what the decision should be. So you can then put all your focus into and all your energy into making the decision and not going in your head and like overthinking what decision I need to make. If you are someone that says, well, I I don't go and sleep late because of so many different things, and that's something I identify with because the rest is that important to me, then that is something you just do. So when someone invites you out for something super late, you just say, sorry, I cannot do that. Why? Because that decision is now easy. You don't have to explain yourself because there's something that is that important to you that you just know what this decision should be. And this could be revolved around so many things around your health. So that's something we want you to think about. 5 things. Then we're going to go into accountability. Now, this is something we've heard from a lot of ladies. They need a lot of help with. And so we want you to rethink your perspective around coaching and how we work with you. So you and your coach. So what I want to kind of explain is, firstly, you have a specific idea of what you need to do in your program, whether that is something in your head, something that's come from us. That is the thing that's in your head as to like how this thing should happen. Then there's something in your head that you are scared of doing, or there's something you are not sure of how to do. You might look at people and be like, how do they do that? Or how there's something in your head that you are not very sure of and you don't think you can really do it, but you kind of want to like explore that. We are the best people to help you with that, right? So I can tell you, for example, if I look at people who share their message when it comes to food or sleep or whatever, and they just, for them, it's the easiest thing to just get their sleep, get their food sorted. And there's just something to it that I just cannot get. These are things you want to start working on, and you want to start sharing ideas of things that you are struggling with your coach, because we can then help you and keep you accountable. I've done this many times. I've had clients who have said to me, hey, I really want to get up earlier. I mean, I don't know how to do it. And I tell them, okay, the first thing you do when you wake up is you're going to send me a message, and I'm going to see that message. And if I don't see that message, I'm going to check in with you and be like, hey, why did you not wake up early? And then you're going to be honest. You're going to be, well, my alarm went off, which is not really always the case. Or I was lazy. And then you're starting to be honest. And we can then help you with this. But I'm not going to message all of my clients and say, oi, send me a message in the morning when you wake up, because it's just not something I need to do. But if it's something you might need, these are the things you need to start rethinking. So this is what I need you to do. Also, Monday morning, send your coach 3 things that you think you need the most help with, or 3 things you want the most help with in the coming weeks ahead. Okay. Whether it's knowledge, whether it's skill, whether it's programming, whether it's accountability, force yourself to come up with 3 things so that you and your coach can go and work on that together, and you can go and get those skills and figure out how to get those things, even if it takes very long. Okay. So that's the second part. After this, I will put it down in the chat, ladies. And then lastly, we want you to think about your perspective on life. Okay. I can't remember who mentioned earlier. I think it was Andre who mentioned, you come on here and you see people, like normal people are struggling with things. We're all going through a lot. Okay. And that's important sometimes to remember that there are millions of people, literally millions of people on this planet who don't have clean drinking water. And we are complaining about absolute rubbish day to day. And it's something you might hear me say, and it clicks for you, and you're like, that makes sense. And you forget about it a second later. But if you go and sit down and you actually go and think about things without just hearing things come into your head, and go think things over and understand what are the things you need to be grateful for, that's when you actually go and work on your perspective around life and around things that you should appreciate more, or things that you already appreciate. And that will also help guide your path forward and your decision making. Okay. So that is something I think about a lot, right? Like if I think about, I mean, we all have something we can get to in our mind, but for me, when it comes to water, for example, or just having a comfortable bed to sleep in, like these things for me, they are so big, but because I think about these things deeply, okay? And then when I am driving on the road, okay, in a nice air-conditioned car on my way to the shop to go and buy sweets, which I probably shouldn't be having, and something happens that inconvenienced me. I don't know how that word works, but I can then very quickly tell myself, hey, what do I have to complain about? I don't. It's so easy for me to just smile and be like, you know what? I shouldn't complain right now. I mean, there's nothing I can complain about, and move on with my day. And I accept that there's things that I struggle with for whatever reasons. That's okay. But my perspective on a lot of things is something that's very valuable to me, and it can be for you as well if you're going to work on it. Not just if you hear people say things to you like millions of people don't have drinking water, because it means nothing to you unless you go and work on it. Okay. So we want you to just go and write down one thing, okay, on how you can improve your perspective on the things that are important to you. What is the one thing, anything that comes to mind, whether it's something you appreciate, whether it's something you want to kind of think over a bit more, whether it's something that is just important to you, or something that you think should be more important to you, and you want to work on that, just go and write down that one thing. And that's all we need you to do. Okay. So I'll write it down in the chat now. We want you ladies to go and do these things. Send it to us on Monday morning. Okay. And we're going to jump on everyone's case. We're going to send this to everyone in the group. Anyone who's not been here, everyone who is here. If we don't hear back from you on Monday about this, you're going to be getting a personal call. Okay. So, Kez, I don't know if you have something to add to that when it comes to our fitness, health
Yes,
identity, or the
when I want to
accountability.
first say thank you for making us better people. Making us
It's a pleasure.
appreciative. You're just making us better people in every single way, shape, and form, physically, emotionally, mentally. I mean, we're now becoming better people because of you. So, I mean, I'm happy about that.
Such a
But it's so
pleasure.
true what you're saying. So I wanted to add on the first bit that you said that your fitness identity. So when it comes to your fitness identity, I think when we put labels on certain things, it resonates with us a lot more. So for instance, when I was speaking to Charlotte this morning, we spoke a lot about being a perfectionist. So that's a label that we've put on ourselves. And this is almost in our identity. Whereas you might be a perfectionist, you might be a procrastinator. You might be there's so many different labels that we can put on ourselves. And this is when we put this label in our head, then we make an excuse out of this thing because we think this is who I am and this is the obstacle that I need to overcome. And I think when you are writing down your fitness identity and you are finding out what your label is, it makes it a lot easier to know this is what I am battling with. This is what I've labeled myself as, and this is what I'm going to overcome. So if it is procrastination, then don't procrastinate. If you've labeled yourself and you've given yourself that identity of being a procrastinator, then overcome that by putting your workout first thing in the morning, because you know you are a procrastinator already. So if you're a procrastinator, then you know that you are going to leave your meals for last minute and then you're going to forget about it and it's not going to happen. But you've labeled yourself, so you know that this is something that is going to happen. So let's find solutions for these things. If I am a perfectionist, then let's find the solution of how am I going to overcome this perfectionism? Am I going to be kinder to myself and be like, I have not gotten every single training this week, and therefore I am a failure. That is overcoming your perfectionism by saying to yourself, I'm only going to plan 3 days this week because I'm not being perfect by doing 5 days. I'm only going to plan 3 days, and by achieving all 3, I am overcoming my perfectionism because I'm perfect. I accomplished 3 days this week. So I'm feeling better about myself. So it's navigating how to overcome certain situations. If I know I'm a procrastinator, let me prep my meals. Even though I don't have time and these meals are easier and everything, but you're going to forget about it because you're a procrastinator. I had a client that went away this week and she's extreme perfectionist. And she came back in absolute shambles because she didn't get all of her training in at a gym, and she didn't get all of her, she did absolutely perfect. She lost weight. She ate all the meals that she possibly could at a restaurant, but because she didn't eat specific meals on the plan, she didn't train at her gym doing her specific training. Even though we planned our training plans for her there, she used water bottles as weight. But because she was a perfectionist, it wasn't 100% to plan. And she was in shambles because that is her vice. And everybody has their identity and their vice, and you have to identify what is yours and then find solutions to overcome these and be kinder to yourself in order to say, let's find these solutions and let's overcome these things that are in my way. I actually listened to a podcast today, and the podcast said, you get to a point where you want to change, where the pain of sitting where you are today is much worse than the pain of changing. So you have to sit with yourself and say to yourself, where I am today and what I'm doing today, is it going to be more painful to stay as I am? or is it going to be more painful for me to overcome these small challenges every single day to become a better person? And I can assure you, most of you have already made that change. You've already overcome that. You've already made the decision that the pain of changing and making these small decisions is better than the pain that you had. So keep reminding yourself that even though we are struggling with these small struggles every single day, it's much less struggle than staying the same as we were before. So see the positive in every situation, take your identity, figure out what it is, and as Wayne said, message your coach on Monday morning and let's see what your identity is, and let's find solutions together for this all. Because I can almost assure you, if we don't find solutions for this, it's not only going to derail your progress going forward, but mentally it takes its toll on you. It takes its toll on you because every single time you fall into these same ways of your identity, you derail yourself going forward, and mentally it's a struggle and you feel like you've failed, and then you go off the rails and we have to start all over again. So let's find solutions for these before we fall into our old identity ways again and again. Brad, do you have anything to say on identity accountability strategies?
Yeah, so what I would say is when it comes to identity, a friend of mine always rings in my head when these things come up, but he doesn't matter where he is, he's a bit of a nomadic person and he just jumps around all over the place. But even when he was actually in South Africa, now he was in America and then he was in Cape Town, he was just everywhere. But he always said to me, it doesn't matter what happens in my life, I'm always going to express the values that I really hold dear. And he did. If he couldn't train at gym, he'd train at home. If he couldn't eat the best food, he'd eat the best that he could get. He's the type of guy that packs his protein powder in Ziploc bags and shoves in his bag when he travels. He's that type of person. So when we're trying to create this identity, we also need to think not so specific as like, I want to be, I don't know, Halle Berry or whoever it is, I don't have to be that specific person, but there's values there that shine out that you want to take hold of. And you have to look at those values and just say, okay, in my current situation, how do I express those values? If you have food poisoning, what is the best thing I can do right now to express those values? What's the best thing for my health? And maybe it's just to, rest off. If Henri has a really bad bout of DOMS, then she also needs, what's the best thing for me right now? Is it to train or is it to just lay off? And it's just to find those values when you create your identity and know that from this identity, you can express these values in different ways. And depending on your situation, if you have to travel, if you just don't have the energy right now, what is that smallest bit that you can do that you can just say, I've expressed this value, I'm happy with myself, and that is my perfect, essentially.
Definitely. I mean, that's exactly why we're all here. Obviously, it's to create a lifestyle. We're not here to get a diet from a nutritionist. We're not here to have an hour PT session. We're not here for that 1 hour to get as much value as we possibly can and then follow that parrot form. We're here to create education within our minds, to get knowledge in order to create those values going forward and create new values, because sometimes when you do start making these lifestyle changes, your values become different and they actually improve. Another one of my clients this week, she's completely changed as a person. Her way of life was every single day, she's a single woman in a foreign country, to come home and cook a large meal for herself because she loves cooking, and she would have a few glasses of wine with her meals because that was her life and this is what she enjoyed, and this was who she was, and her values was her enjoying her life. And now she's been with me for 3-4 months and she's taking hikes every weekend. She's following her meals. She is, she's doing, I think she shared on the group this week that she was training in a container in a camp. And her values on a weekly basis have completely changed, where she comes home, she has her meals, and instead of having her few glasses of wine and cooking every single night, she goes for a long walk. and her lifestyle and her values have completely changed. And as she spoke on the call 2 weeks ago, she said that was her identity. That was her identity, and she almost kind of misses who she was, but she has created a new person within herself. And the person that she is now is a healthier, may I say 14 kgs less person. And she is absolutely loving her life. She sent me 5 photos this week with this massive smile on her face. She said, I haven't taken photos of myself in years. And, you know, just sometimes just seeing how people can change their life by creating different lifestyle choices, by changing their identity, by changing their values, it's absolutely inspiring, even for me. So maybe add to Wayne's list, like write down your identity, write down what your possible values are and what you would like your values to be and whether they are different to what they have been previously. Okay, I'm sorry, ladies, you can carry on with the guys, but I have a school run to do as per my usual life. But thank you so much for all being on the call today, and you're welcome to chat further to Wayne and Brad. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend ahead, and please message your coach at absolutely any time if you need any help, guidance, solutions, anything. And I hope you have a positive weekend. Good luck for all of you in your beginning stages, getting through your weekends. It will get easier, and I send you all the strength and positivity that you possibly may need. Bye-bye, ladies.
Thanks,
and
Thank
guys.
you, Kes. Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you so much.
Ladies, I'm gonna end it very, very quickly. All I'm gonna say is, in this journey, you're gonna have ups and downs, okay? And this is another thing that you might not understand really well until you've gone through those ups and downs, and then you realize how that is just going to always happen. And we know that progress is not linear, it is with ups and downs. But what happens is all these identities and values that you start aligning with, and this new person you start creating, starts doing things differently. And then things work, and then you make progress, and then you run into new challenges, and then you're gonna have a week where you're like, oh, what's happening now? And that's when you have a dip, and you check in with us, and you say, well, look, it was one of those weeks. And I'm sure everyone here knows exactly what I'm talking about. But then because you've worked on these values and this new identity, that changes. Okay, you creating a new person who has better skills that then deals with more difficult challenges, which means those ups and downs will never end up stopping. So if you expect it to stop, that is you wanting an easy life. And like they said earlier, a hard life is hard, but not as hard as an easy life. Okay. So it's up to you to work on. This is something, for example, that I have ingrained in my head. This is just what I believe when it comes to how I see my progress. Okay. And then it becomes so much easier for me to manage those difficult weeks and then not make it 3 difficult weeks, you know? You start noticing these things quickly. You spot it. You're like, okay, I see what's just happened. Let me do this. Check in with us, whatever. So go with that. Please send us through these things next week. If there's anything else, please let us know. And we'll check in with you ladies over the weekend. But thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful weekend, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you, Wayne.
Thanks,
Thanks,
coach.
guys.
Everyone.
Thanks, ladies. Bye.
Tot ziens.
Thanks, guys. Bye.